Hey, good morning from the office. I know you guys are expecting to see BKP on this kind of blustery Monday morning, but what you've got is you've got RFG and BAC. And I know already you're going, okay, BFD, what's going on? Rhinestone and Burlap, we're here taking over for Brian this morning. Brian is doing a little personal time. He went down to see family and friends, and they are winging their way back from wherever they were. I think they were down in Florida this morning. But Bruce and I are delighted to be here. Bruce?
I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, we are.
You betcha.
We are as well. Let me tell you, I didn't realize the sophistication over at this place. The limo picked us up this morning at 3:30. We came over here. The first thing we did was meet with HR and get all our paperwork signed. We're part of the All-Star panel. Thank you, Brian. We have fun doing that every Friday at Circuit World.
And now you're with me on the 13th floor.
Now we've got Amanda at the helm this morning on the 13th floor. And we are delighted that we could come up from HR. HR was a trip. We signed all the paperwork, and then they sent us over to legal because they were afraid we were going to say some things this morning that were not actually in keeping with what the management usually likes to hear, even though Brian sometimes goes off on his typical rants. We'll try not to do that today.
But then that 6'8" guy comes through the door and it looks like Comey, and we're going, what did we get ourselves into?
That's right. He came fresh off the set of with George Stephanopoulos. I don't know when that was shown. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. Maybe in the second half hour, we'll get to that. We'll have a little fun this morning. We'll try to do the best job we can. This is our first gig at it. Again, we passed legal, and then we had to go to makeup. This is the best I could do, folks. For these two old white guys, commonly known as Rhinestone and Burlap. Rhinestone, that, R for Rick, Rhinestone, B for Bruce, Burlap. So, that's all we could conjure up. The Diamond and Silk ladies have literally monopolized the thing. I tell you, I was actually shocked last night. I'm trying to do a little homework. I got off an airplane last night at 10:30 at night, drove up to Blue Ridge. I was out on the left coast, if you will, visiting my daughter and her family. My granddaughter Barrett had her 5th birthday party, which was quite an extravaganza, but came in last night. I looked at their website, Bruce, and I'm telling you, these two sisters have it going. I mean, they've got
they do. They really got a following. I don't know how many followers they have.
I think they have
research. Can you get that for us?
Yeah, yeah. The research department is scurrying to find out how many followers they have on Facebook. But they got re-energized when they had the Senate hearings.
Yeah,
with Zuckerberg, and everybody was talking about the enforcement team, right?
Enforcement team made an error.
An error in judgment. Tell them about that error.
Well, I guess Facebook has these teams that look at content and decide by whatever guidelines they use. I think it's usually down to one person on the team that says, I don't like this. You're off. And that's just not right for a platform like that. But that seems to be what happened to them. I still don't think they're back. They've gotten everything back yet.
Well, they say that they can't get their followers. Apparently, I'm not on Facebook. I'm sorry, I don't know the drill, so I may sound ignorant in some of this stuff. But you can always call the show line at 706 89. Help me, Amanda. What is the show line again? 706 889-9700.
You can get in touch with us at 706-889-9700.
I got it right.
Keep those flashcards coming.
706-889-9700.
There you go.
Is the show line. You can follow us on Twitter at Fetcher News, at FYN.com. Fetcher News
Fetcher News
at
FINTV at FINTV Sports, and our email to contact us anytime is chief@fetchernews.com.
North Georgia.
Brian does this every morning so seamlessly, and I could repeat it in my sleep. But when you come on and you get under these hot studio lights and you've got all these technicians running around giving you signals, you don't, some of the stuff freezes. So bear with me, folks. This is our first shot. Anyway.
Pick it up, Riney.
Yeah, pick it up. Here we go. Going back to the website, Diamond and Silk.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they've got, they are, they've got, let me tell you, folks, they've got a tour. They've got a tour going. They've got like a 10-city tour where you can go sit with Diamond and Silk, listen to their, I think they call it their chit chat tour. All right. So DNS chit chat tour. Why don't we open for them? If we do a decent job today, if we promote them enough in this 15-minute segment.
Hey, we could do the R&B oldies tour.
There you go.
Yeah.
Two old white guys from North Georgia do the lead in for Diamond and Silk. We could have some fun, but they've got merchandise. Oh my God, the merchandise. They've got these big Trump bling badges. They've got T-shirts.
They have jewelry? They have any jewelry?
They've got Rhinestone, as a matter of fact. That we could fit that right in. But they've got jewelry, they've got pictures, and these tours that they have, this chit chat stuff.
Is it reasonably priced, or
$150 if you want the VIP package? Just general admissions, $50. The $150 gets you a private audience with Diamond and Silk, a picture taken. You think we could do pictures?
We could do pictures.
Yeah, they'd probably have to pay us, or we'd have to pay them.
You. We'd have to pay you.
We'll bring a stack of $5 bills, and we'll pay to have our picture taken with our newfound friends out there. Anyway, that's these gals are from Fayetteville, North Carolina. Regardless of where they're from, they got it working, folks.
Never been to Fayetteville, have you?
I have not.
Okay.
Is that
a big town?
Number one, it's tough to get to. There's an Army base there.
Oh.
There's a lot of military folks there. Huh. And it's kind of off on the East Coast there, not too far. I think it's right on the water, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, they got the tour working. So,
and they're on it now. I mean,
I think their first stop is. Let me see if I can get this right. Their first stop was Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Yep. They did a stop in Cleveland. They did a stop. They're not coming close. They go with New Orleans.
Ah.
Yeah, they're going to be down in New Orleans, your old stomping grounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruce spent a long time in Baton Rouge, right?
Yes.
Red Stick. So anyway, we've got, let's see, Brian wanted me to make a couple announcements this week, what we got coming up. He's got, this week is local candidate week on the show. So Tuesday morning, tomorrow, Brian will be back tomorrow morning.
Back in the office.
Back in the office, right. He will have in studio all three Gilmer County Post 2 Commissioner candidates. And they are at 8:15, Woody Jensen. At 8:40, Jerry Tusso, Tuso. Jerry, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. If not, I apologize. And he's on at 8:40. And then at 9 o'clock, we've got Carlene Ferguson. Carlene Ferguson at 9 o'clock. So we're going to be making those announcements during the show as we go on. So what else are we going to be doing today? We're going to talk a little bit about the Comey interview. I don't know if any of you saw that last night. Probably 60 Minutes probably got one of their highest ratings.
It was 2020.
Excuse me, 2020. I thought it was 60 Minutes. Oh, yeah, George Stephanopoulos.
Yes, yes.
The Clinton
Hook, line, and sinker.
So Bruce took copious notes last night during that telecast. So I was on an airplane. I didn't see it. I've just read some clips about it. So we'll try to cover that for you. Brian is in the middle of his political season, which is, it's just like butter for him. I mean, he just slides right through it. He really, really does a good job with all these candidates. And he had a couple of really good interviews, I thought, which we'll try to reprise today at some point in time, maybe in the maybe in that third half hour at the 9 o'clock hour. We'll look at the replay of the interview with Doug Collins, where they get into the budget that was passed, the omnibus bill.
And Doug Collins does a lot outside of Georgia, right? He's been really active in going out to places where Republicans are having issues. And helps out. Yeah, he's a good. He really represents North Georgia well. He's a nice guy. I think he's a retired preacher, if I'm not mistaken. Hallelujah.
Yeah, hallelujah to Doug.
That brings up the point about the recent polls. Again, a lot of the polls are showing that the Democrats really have an enthusiasm.
They're energized.
Yeah. And it seems to be painting the picture that there could be a change in the House. They could take the Senate. I mean,
that just says, I don't want to put yard signs up. I don't want to put stickers on my car. I don't want to tell people. I mean, there was an incident the other day where someone was accosted at knife point because they were wearing a Trump hat.
There's been several incidents like that. Sure. People have ripped them off their heads and abused them otherwise. Yeah.
I mean, we've all seen the clips of some of these student demonstrations where, God forbid, on a college campus that you might want to have a little right-wing thinking or right-wing leaning,
or just a point of view that you don't agree with. I mean, that's what college is supposed to be about. At least, back in the day when we went.
Back in the day, that was in the right after the big war, right?
Yeah. I mean, we were, things were going on in Vietnam, and where we went to school. I mean, they burned down the oldest building on campus.
The old Main. Bruce and I go way back. We've been together forever. If you haven't heard this story before, Bruce and I grew up in a suburb of Chicago, a nice little tidy-whitey suburb, Arlington Heights, and we met each other early on when we were in single digits, if you will, and we are well up in double digits right now. We've been together a long time. We went to grade school, we went to high school, we went to college for a while together, and then we were in each other's wedding. We went our separate ways. We had our families. We enjoyed our families together when we could. Bruce spent a lot.
You went south. I went circumnavigate.
Yeah, you went circumnavigate. Never mind about the. Yeah, okay, we won't go there. No, you've spent a lot of time overseas in your career. You were in Brussels twice, I think.
Antwerp, Belgium.
Antwerp and
Singapore.
Singapore
twice.
And then you had a stint in Chicago, I believe, and then you were out on the left coast for early on in your career.
Right.
Then you figured out that wasn't the place for you.
I was New York and San Francisco. Yeah, I did both sides. Yeah.
Both of the left coasts.
Indeed.
And he's still with us this morning. Anyway, like I said, I won't muddy the water with all that. But to Bruce's point, we grew up in the 60s. We were in high school and college in the 60s, and it was a really tumultuous time, if you will. There we go. But way to go, Burlap. Shut in. Now we had I don't even know how you describe it. We had a revolution going on.
Well, we had the music, all the new music coming out of the UK and then the US. We had drugs,
the Flower Child movement,
a lot of drugs going on.
Woodstock.
Yep. And then we had the war, the Vietnam War. So
the Vietnam War was a big deal.
A very big deal.
And there were a lot of anti-war marches going on, especially on the college campuses. Take it, excuse me.
Yeah, because, at the time they instituted the draft. I mean, you had to, get into a pool. They pick numbers. And so they were drafting young men at the time. And it became a very, very controversial issue because, bodies were coming back from Vietnam. And people knew if they got picked, they were probably going to go to Vietnam. And, a lot of people didn't like that. And so there was political pushback. There was social, cultural pushback. And there was a lot of turmoil at the time. So on the campuses. I mean, you had people that would get very agitated, very emotional. There would be demonstrations, and again, I mean, we were at Southern Illinois in the late '60s, and they burned down Old Main one night.
Yeah,
they never caught the perpetrators, but they burned down the oldest building on the campus.
Right. It was sad. I mean, they brought out the National Guard in a lot of areas.
Yep.
You know, you had the Kent State shooting.
Yep, 1970.
1970 Kent State shooting, where the National Guard came out, and you know, then there were
they had live ammo, and unfortunately, there was a bunch of National Guardmen who were across a field from some demonstrators, and they had live ammunition, and you know, one thing led to another, and somebody fired. You know, again, the National Guardmen were pretty much the same age as the college kids,
and
four students were killed.
Yeah, and that was the really weird thing about it. You'd see National Guardsmen on the campus, and a lot of them were students right at the same university. So they'd be standing on the other side of the line in full uniform, talking to a fraternity brother, talking to someone that they see in class. That's why the whole thing was just so weird.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there were songs made up about it. You know, Crosby, Stills, Nash made a living doing protest songs in that time.
Yeah.
So I mean,
just about every group did one or two songs that, you know, said something about the war.
Yeah.
But I mean, now, I mean, the things on campus, I mean, there's still demonstrations, things are getting broken, there's damage and all that, but points of view don't seem to be as freely exchanged now as they did back when we went through all this. So it's a little discouraging, I think, for the kids and the future generations to not understand there's going to be differences of opinion. Other people are not necessarily going to agree with you across the board on things.
I mean, there's a lot of similarities with what's going on now, even though now to what kind of transpired in the 60s, where things were literally going topsy-turvy. What used to be topsy is now turvy.
Yeah.
So
and I mean, you know, we didn't have the cell phones now. We didn't have then. People weren't taking pictures and recording everything. So it's a completely different world, but it's regrettable in the sense that points of views, even disagreeable, cannot be exchanged.
Yeah, yeah. So Amanda, I know Brian usually takes a break around this time. Why don't we make some room and give our sponsors their due, make a little money? What do you think?
I have a question before we go to break. What is this picture of Junior and Liberace that you guys wanted me to present? And why Rhinestone and Burlap? Please explain.
You know, I was trying to conjure up. I was trying to conjure up what Rhinestone silk might look like.
Burlap.
Yeah,
please.
Rhinestone and Burlap.
Yeah, Rhinestone and Burlap.
I'm trying to give you your props here. You're more of a silk guy than Burlap, all right? But anyway, you know, I'm thinking Burlap kind of like Junior Samples. Now, obviously, Bruce doesn't look anything like Junior Samples, but if you can kind of picture some old boy sitting back there with the overalls, you know, that's kind of what we're thinking about Burlap. And then
was he Country Acres or?
He was on Hee Haw. He made a living on Hee Haw. And there's my boy Liberace. Liberace's up there.
Ooh.
Let me tell you, this guy had it going. He was so flamboyant. He was one of the highest paid entertainers in the 50s and 60s. He was, if you can believe this guy was born in West Allis, Wisconsin. He's a Polish Italian, very, very accomplished pianist. And he lived in this garish mansion. He always wore rhinestones. And he was kind of, yeah, that's right. He was kind of the Elton John of his day, if you will. Just a little bit more, you know, probably, I mean.
But bridge the gap, like from rock into the Lawrence Welk group.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what he did. Okay, boys, a 1 and a 2. Yeah, but he always had the candelabra working. The guy was a piece of work. He died young. He died of pneumonia complication from AIDS, and I think he was 67 years old. But he was a fixture in the entertainment world going together. Amanda, thanks for remembering that. I wouldn't want to waste those pictures, but
So the pneumonia shot probably wouldn't have helped him.
No. No. So anyway, let's take a break. We'll come back. When we come back, we will be talking a little bit. I want to talk a little bit before we get into the Comey segment in the second half hour. I want to talk a little bit about Paul Ryan and his lame duck status and what really should we do about him to maybe help those 50 seats that are at large that are in play, so to speak. So, Amanda, how about taking us to break?
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Circuit World, brand name merchandise at unbelievably low prices. Furniture, appliances, and electronics. Circuit World is locally owned and operated, serving the tri-state area. Circuit World has highly trained professionals to help. Visit your hometown Circuit World today. 3 locations in Georgia: LJ, Blue Ridge, and Blairsville, Franklin, and Murphy, North Carolina. No credit checks, so let Circuit World deliver to you today.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on-site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East LJ. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Medium Pizza Hut pizzas, just $5.99 each.
Did they say Pizza Hut?
For $5.99?
Yes, and yes.
Yes. Introducing the deal you want on the pizza you crave. 2 medium pizzas, just $5.99 each. No one out pizzas the hot.
Hey, folks, we are back. We office. We are delighted to be here. And Rick, Our new names
Burlap,
are Rhinestone and Burlap. We're taking over for Brian here in the office this morning while he runs a few personal errors.
Mm-hmm.
We are delighted to be here. We're talking a little bit about the 60s. We're going to touch on a few things as we go along. I wanted to bring out again during the week. Brian will be back tomorrow, incidentally. He'll be live in studio at the office at 8 o'clock. We're going to have local candidate week next week.
This week,
excuse me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Burlap.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Tuesday morning, we will have in studio. Brian will be interviewing all 3 Gilmer County Post 2 Commissioner candidates. 8:15, we've got Woody Jensen. And then at 8:40, we've got Jerry Tusso. Again, Jerry, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. At 9 o'clock, Carleen Ferguson. 9 o'clock, Carleen Ferguson in studio with BKP.
Are they all candidates for the same position?
Yeah, post 2.
Okay.
Post 2 commissioner candidates. So that'll be a lively discussion.
Brian, post 2 constituents, listen in.
Yeah, Brian gets the most out of these folks when they're in studio and really brings out a lot of good stuff. Anyway, before we went to the break, we were talking a little bit about the 50 seats in the House that are up for grabs.
In November. Bruce was saying how energized the Democrat base is. According to the polls, and we're still in limbo, if you will, as to whether the polls are accurate. As we were saying earlier, do you agree the polls? Yeah, I agree with your point you made before that, people's faith in these polls, my faith in them is gone in the toilet. I mean,
have you ever been called? Have you ever been polled?
No.
I haven't either.
No. And again, I don't know if they are mining Facebook data.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't know how they pick these people, but you see the sample size and they're like, 1,200, 1,100, 1,500, 900. And you just wonder, and I've read a statistic in the past about polls in general. They are skewed to more Democrats. They typically have 5 to 7% more Democrats
in the sample. That they take. Yeah. I mean, you can go into the fine print and read the sampling, and Bruce is right. If you look at each one of these polls, you'll see that 65% left leaning thinking, 35%. Well, 30% right when then.
Well, I mean, now more and more people are saying, "Well, I'm independent." So I think the independent block, as it were, is growing, but. Again, the independents being what they are, you just don't know how they're going to lean. And I agree that people, I think, are reluctant to say things to pollsters that really reflects what they do when they get in the voting booth.
Yeah. Let's touch on Paul Ryan a little bit. Paul Ryan, as most people know by now, Speaker of the House, decided to step down to spend more time allegedly with his family. What is he? He's been around 20 years?
I think very close to 20 years.
20 years. There's a strong
over 20 years.
Yeah, there's a strong rumbling, I believe, on the Republican side that said, okay, you make your announcement in April, so you're a lame duck till January. That in a lot of people's minds are not going to weigh well in the November election. I think there's a group that's welling up that's saying, Paul, we appreciate your service. Hey, dude, take a powder, go enjoy your family. Let's get a new speaker elect, put him in place, make sure he's on the Trump agenda so he doesn't have to go out, and so Paul Ryan doesn't have to go out and try to talk about the accomplishments. It seems like every time he starts to talk about the accomplishments, he gets kind of a little, kind of one of those chokes where you tasting your cheese sandwich twice. Anyway, your thoughts?
Well, there's, I think, a healthy debate going on about if he should stay in the position or step away sooner rather than later. And of course, the point some people bring up is, if you do pick a new speaker, Kevin McCarthy, Steve Scalise, Jim Jordan, whoever it might be, they could be out of a job after November if they don't really get their act together.
Yeah, exactly.
So there may not be a majority.
Exactly. You know, we've got to have, I mean, in my opinion, we have got to have somebody going out there with Trump and talking about the accomplishments. Get on the stump, use the bully pulpit, talk about that we've got unemployment rate historically low in the Black community.
Hispanic as well.
Unemployment rate in the Spanish community, historically low. Unemployment rate with women, historically low in what, the last 30 years, something like that?
I think it's more than that, 40 or 50 years.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to have someone out there that's going to champion this other than just Donald Trump, who literally seems like right now he's in a, he's in a circular crossfire.
Well, yeah, a one-man show. I mean, he's out there, touting everything he does, and you don't hear a whole lot of support from the choir.
Well, you don't hear, if the choir is the mainstream media, you don't hear anything.
I'm just saying the choir is like the other Republicans. They're sort of like half-heartedly saying things now and then, but I mean, it isn't a united front.
You talk about the establishment Republicans that really have never embraced him at all.
Yeah.
What an unfortunate thing that is, anyway. So, but.
And Ryan really doesn't have that much to talk about. I mean, they stubbed their toe on Obamacare. They did get the tax cuts through, but
and again, man, I tell you what, the omnibus package. What a you'll hear a little bit about that in BKP's interview in the 9 o'clock hour with Doug Collins, the reprise of that interview, which was really, really well done.
And we've touched on that in the All-Star panel.
Yeah.
I mean, again, how much pain are Americans willing to put up with to get the fiscal ship righted? I mean, 20 trillion deficit. I mean,
that's just
growth.
On the surface.
Yeah. I mean, there's serious flaws in the economy that need to be addressed. I mean, the entitlements, the whole situation with Social Security, Medicare,
unfunded liabilities.
Yes, and that's just not at the national level. I mean, it goes to states. I mean, some of the states in this country are in dire shape.
Right. Which can be the first to go? Illinois?
Could be.
Yeah.
Could
Illinois.
Jersey's not in good shape.
Jersey's not in good shape.
California, New York. I mean, all the Democratic oriented states have real severe issues.
Yeah. So you bring up Scalise, you bring up Jordan. I'd love to see Jim Jordan.
He's a pit bull.
Yeah, he is a pit bull. He's part of that. What do they call that? The conservative group, the conservative constituency.
I'm blanking.
Yeah, it doesn't come to mind right now either. That's their go-to piece when this Diamond and Silk get into a jam. They can go on, and then all of a sudden, if they come to Black, they go, So we need to come up with some. Anyway, who's the other ones? Scalise and
Kevin McCarthy.
Kevin McCarthy.
He was the one Ryan has picked, but I mean,
he seems to be the heir apparent.
Yeah,
I think he's more of the same, don't you?
Yeah. He's cut out of the Ryan mold, I think.
Right. And now all I see is Ryan as kind of the bad boy for Schumer and Pelosi. I mean,
I don't know if I go that far.
Well, let me tell you.
Tell me.
I mean, he's just carrying their water. It seems like, he's got his pushback, but I just think that behind the scenes he's getting pushed around a lot and not taking a forceful stance again. And that's because he's never been a Trump guy. He's never been a Trump guy. He was picked as a running mate with Mitt Romney.
Well, I think, so many of the pundits say, we need to get back to a bipartisan approach. And I think he's out of that era where he saw, people reaching across the aisle, doing deals, and getting legislation passed. So I think, there's a push, to do that. And these guys feel like they got to, sometimes carry the other people's water.
Yeah, there you go.
To get things done on a bipartisan basis. But, bipartisan hasn't worked too well, has it, folks?
No, geez.
I mean, look where we are and look what we've come back from. I mean, the whole financial crisis, that could be reloading. We could be looking at another one in the very near future.
Yeah. I think the Republicans are going to be okay. The news media is not going to help them out at all, obviously. So I think the only shot they've got really is to tell Paul to take a powder, go home, spend some time with his family, get his Packer jersey on, and, go Packers. We're going to say go Bears. But
The Bears.
The Bears. But I think that's it. Trump has to have a wingman to go out there with him and preach from the same hymnal if the Republicans are going to be any kind of a competitor.
Yeah, I think he, like everybody does these days, he'll work on his book. There'll be a book coming out, I'm sure, in a year or two.
How long does he have to wait to be a lobbyist?
A year.
A year, huh?
Yeah, but that's probably from January, when he officially steps down.
Wouldn't it be interesting if he became did the Chaffetz routine? Chaffetz retires from whatever he was, the Utah
congressman
from Utah, Jason Chaffetz, said, I'm going to step down. I need to get back to Utah, spend some time with my family. You see him every day on Fox now.
Yeah.
Did he move his family here, or he's a Fox contributor?
He probably never, sold the Washington place.
Yeah, that's probably true. Anyway, so okay, we're gonna take another pause for the cause here, folks, and we will come back in the after
Next
this
segment.
break. We are live from the office, standing in for BKP, who will be back tomorrow, first thing at 8:00, to meet with the Post 2 Gilmer County candidates. We'll take a pause. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Stephanopoulos interview on 2020 last night that probably every leaning weenie tuned in for, and trying to do a book tour. So we'll go and we'll talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly with James Comey. Take us to break.
Had the time of my life. I never felt like this before. I swear it's the truth, and I owe it all to you. I'll tell you something. This could be love, because I've had the time of my life. I've never felt like this before, 'cause I've had the time of my life.
The Tupelo Tea mission is to provide over 80 premium tea blends for tea lovers who are looking for ways to explore new flavors and blends. Come visit Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge at Sycamore Crossing. Be sure to sample our various varieties of honey and tea. Visit us on the web at tupelotea.com or call us at 706-946-TEAS. That's TEAS. Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge.
And lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is... We have Amish furniture imported. Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in LJ next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in LJ next to Walmart.
Better days ahead. It's just this simple. Nobody beats Days on price. If it's a Chevy, you'll pay less at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. Now save $4,000 off a new 2018 Chevy Malibu, or save up to $10,000 off a new 2018 Silverado Crew Cab. It doesn't matter which Chevy you choose. Nobody beats Days price. $10,000 off Silverados and $4,000 off Malibus at Days Chevy in Jasper.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Hey, folks, we are back. Rhinestone and Burlap, commonly known as RFG and BAC, Rick and Bruce. You might have seen us from the All-Star panel. We're sitting in for BKP this morning. He should be winging his way back, not winging, but driving his way back to the corporate offices and studio in Ellijay, Georgia here.
He could be in Georgia enjoying a few wings.
He could, yeah, he could. We are, in fact, North Georgia's only online morning show. We want you all to remember that. You can get in touch with us by show phone, 706-889-9700, chief@fetchyournews.com, on Facebook at Fetch Your News, FYN TV, or Team FYN Sports. Before the break, we were talking a little bit about Paul Ryan and his lame duck status. Why don't we move into probably what everybody's going to be talking about around the water cooler today, and that's the...
Or maybe not.
Or maybe not, yeah. Or maybe not. Talking about the first of many, I think, interviews that Comey did with George Stephanopoulos on 2020. Don't want to give them too much credit, but I was on an airplane, as I said earlier, coming back from California, and did not get to see it firsthand. I've read a couple of clips. Our commander-in-chief has done a Twitter. He was all a Twitter. Let's put it that way. There's some of those that are more memorable than others that we'll talk about in a little while. But Bruce, you watched it, right?
I did. Yes.
And Bruce has taken some copious notes here. Give the folks out there if they didn't see it, or if they did, maybe they'll give us a call. I know the switchboard's been probably lighting up in there. All the switchboard operators standing by, because we've just been so darn popular and just going to be in such demand. Talk about the overview a little bit.
Well, and my take on it was it was a very rambling, self-serving, all about Jim Comey interview. Again, he's selling a book, but some of the things that came out of it, let me just run through a few of these. The first thing he talked about, he said, when he had his first meeting with Trump, he said, I looked at his hair. Happens.
Again. I looked at his hair.
I looked at his hair. And it was coiffed. And,
we invite you to escape the conventional and embrace the delectable.
And then he said, then I noticed he had sort of white lines under his eyes. And I'm going, well, it seems like so, what's the word I'm looking for? Shallow. I mean, in the sense of like he starts looking at the guy's, external appearance, and
maybe those were the goggles from the tanning booth.
Who knows? But I mean, it was kind of odd. I thought that he obsessed about all this stuff with the way he looked the first time he met the man. Anyway, it went on from there. One of the big things he kept saying or intimating was that he didn't want it to be political. but it was, and it was very political. He talked about how when he was 16, the house he was living with his family got broken into. So he's always had a big heart for victims.
When he was 16 years old?
16 years old, yeah. Him and his brother, were there, I guess, when it got broken into. And, I don't think they weren't hurt or anything. But he said, it gave me a feeling for victims.
He didn't have the armed guards with him now that carry weapons.
No,
right?
no.
Not then?
No, not
Okay.
then. It was just him and his brother.
Yeah.
He admitted to his original sin was that the Hillary investigation wasn't handled well. He said he had a problem with Loretta Lynch, and he was very critical of Hillary's methods. He said the Obama Department of Justice did not protect Hillary. You can take that for what it's worth. Hillary's revelations, he said the whole thing that came out about what she did and didn't do, he said was a clear double standard compared to other things. So the Attorney General, he got into the Attorney General's doing what they were doing with the FBI, and he said he disagreed with some of the things that the AGs were doing. He said the FBI basically is a group of a large number of flawed humans trying to do their best. So, he just sort of covered himself up in this, and it just rambled on and on along these lines.
Did they talk about the tarmac incident at all?
Not very much.
Come up with
not very
Lynch
much.
and President Clinton talking about their grandkids?
Well, he did say that he had a problem with Loretta Lynch. I mean, he didn't really go into too much detail, and Stephanopoulos didn't press. I guess there's something to be said for that later on. He did then go into this, kind of odd talk about there was that TV thing where there was a group of men in the blue room, and he said he was trying to stay back against the wall. He was in a blue to get by the blue drape so he'd blend in. That's the guy. 6'8".
Yeah, like you blend.
Yeah. But, he said, nonetheless, Trump called him over, so you had to do the long walk over. And he said, my wife and my daughters knew that was my oh no face as I walked across the room because I didn't want to do that.
That's great. My oh no face.
My oh no face. Talked a little bit about the reference to Donald Trump being like a mob boss. And he said he gets the feelings in his meetings with him and discussions and whatnot that he's always trying to establish dominance, and that's how he made the jump to a mob boss.
If Brian were here, I got he would do. He would say, folks, 2 days before that came out about the mob boss, I was the first one to talk about Gotti in New York and how they went after his attorney and
our Jersey boy doing his thing.
Anyway, I got to give BKP his props.
Yeah. He said they got into the Russian influence thing where he had the meeting where he talked about Mike Flynn. He said, I hope you can let it go. And, he said that took him aback. He wasn't quite sure. And he said he should have responded more explicitly, but in hindsight, he didn't. Stephanopoulos asked him, do you think crimes were committed? In a sense. And he goes, yes. So in a sense they were. In a sense they weren't. Who knows?
In a sense they were, but they weren't followed up on.
Whatever.
You continue to be judge and jury about everything.
Yeah, I mean, it was really bland. I mean, it was just really, read the book. You got to get the book to get more of the stuff. It was sort of
self-indulging.
Yeah, it was sort of a presser for people to buy the book and read it, and whatever.
Did Stephanopoulos ever give him any hard softball questions?
Pretty much, I think, except to the end. Then he said, "Do you think Trump is fit to be president?" And he said,
"Well, that was probably a setup question, wasn't it?"
Well, yeah, but it sort of ended with that. He basically said he's morally unfit to be president. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you're ethically unfit to be the FBI director. But
yeah.
Anyway, it was just, as Rick said, a taste of more to come. There's going to be more interviews. He'll be asked different questions by other interviewers. And I just was not impressed with him. And I think some of the other people who former FBI people who were in the management level, the hierarchy of the FBI, said he has really besmirched the FBI and really put a stain on them at the management level, if you will. And having said that, I think I know there's a large group of FBI agents and people that are doing the yeoman's work of keeping this country safe and doing it right and doing it ethically. And
so Swamper's at the top.
Yeah.
The Strocks, the Pages,
McCabe,
Rosenstein. Yeah. Have you got a video, Amanda? Did you have a video of something? Yeah, I think we've got that unfit clip from the show. Let's go ahead and put that up there if we can, Amanda. That talk about see what Bruce was talking about the end of the show.
Was President Trump obstructing justice?
Possibly. I mean, it's certainly some evidence of obstruction of justice.
James Comey is getting personal with his attacks on the president.
I don't think he's medically unfit to be president. I think he's morally unfit to be president.
As for claims he helped Donald Trump win the White House, Comey hopes that's not the case.
A whole lot of me was thinking, oh my God, did we have some role in this?
Comey recalls his encounter with the president where they discussed the Russian dossier and its unverified claims.
And he interrupted, started talking about it. Do I look like a guy who needs hookers?
The president fired off a string of preemptive tweets this morning, including one that read, quote, "Slippery James Comey, a man who always ends up badly and out of whack, he is not smart, will go down as the worst FBI director in history by far." Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders also attacked Comey again today.
Look, it's been very clear that James Comey is a self-admitted leaker. He lied to Congress. He's been inconsistent.
What did he lie to Congress?
But Comey maintains he has always been honest.
Can you assure people that the Obama Justice Department was not protecting Hillary Clinton?
Yes. The FBI drove this investigation, and we did it in a competent and independent way. I would bet my life on that.
Comey admitted that he did not tell the president his opponents funded that Russian dossier. He said he did not think that information was
Folks, that was the end of the interview with George Stephanopoulos and James Comey talking about our president. I'd kind of like to refer to him as one of the heads of the Hydra. The other two being Mueller and McCabe. Those three guys are a prime example, in my opinion, of the deep state. Those are the message boys of the deep state trying to bring down the president of the United States. It's just so self-evident, and Trump is not going to take it. He doesn't take a punch well. He's a counterpuncher. He hits back. He's going to tweet like crazy, and there were a couple of tweets that he put out there, which I think, we've got, we have that second tweet, Amanda, that Trump put up. It's up there now, and I probably can't read that, but let's see if I...
The tweet reads, "Unbelievably, James Comey states that polls where crooked Hillary was leading were a factor in the handedly stupid of the Clinton email probe. In other words, he was making decisions based on the fact that he thought she was going to win, and he wanted a job." Slimeball.
Slimeball, yeah, Slimeball. That was the one I was referring to. I mean, there was no question in anybody's mind when he came out with that presser. What was it, a week before the election or 10 days before 11 days before the election?
Yeah.
My goodness. I mean, I was sitting on the edge of my chair waiting for her to do the perp walk.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden at the end, he said, "However, there's not an attorney in the land that would try to press these charges." So Trump is right again. I mean, he nails it. He comes out and he says, "I thought she was going to be president." Comey, that is. "I thought she was going to be president. So I'm covering my keister because I want to keep my job."
Keister?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me. Any other things that come to mind about the?
Well, the one other thing, sort of follow on that point. He said his wife and 4 daughters were so distraught that Hillary lost, they were out in the Women's March the day after the inauguration. So you can sort of tell where the whole family's coming from. And what you were saying before about the Hydra, I mean, it's a cabal of Hydras, if you will, because don't forget the other guys that were there before, Brennan, Clapper. I mean, those guys that get proven to be liars, and they're on all the mass media shows.
And
now.
they've proven to be liars under oath in some of these Senate subcommittee investigations.
Yes, and they're scot-free. Nothing ever happens to them.
Yeah,
and they become talking heads on CNN and MSNBC and all the other shows.
Lou Dobbs. You ever listen to Lou? Lou's the brightest guy going. He really comes up with good, insightful stuff, and they
very much on the immigration issues. Boy, he's hot on that.
I know. When I was coming home last night, listening to some replays of some stuff, Lou Dobbs had what's the attorney DeGenova? DeGenova, and his wife, and they were and Lou Dobbs said, it is so evident what's going on. But what can they do? You know what they can do? They can get the Republican House, who's got the authority to go after these creeps. You don't have to go to a court. I mean, like Nunez trying to get
election year. Are they going to have the cojones to do that?
The cojones.
Cojones.
Uh-huh. There we go. Anyway, so your final thoughts on the Comey thing before we get away from that?
It was a beauty pageant. He was out there on the runway, and the whole world to see. Answered a few questions, and
who's did they say who he was up with next? I know Brett Baer has the third interview.
Yeah, I don't know who's next.
I would imagine probably up Chuck Todd from NBC is probably going to weigh in. Wouldn't you think?
Could very well be.
Stephanopoulos.
I don't know if Anderson Cooper will get in there at some point.
Oh yeah,
probably one of the ladies from CNN. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
anyway. Joe and Mika.
Oh my goodness! Don't get me started. No,
don't get Brian started.
Yeah, Brian gets up every morning and looks at Joe and Mika at 6 a.m. I tell you what, I couldn't keep my breakfast down if I had to do that. Anyway,
eat a man.
Yeah, we're coming to you live from the world headquarters of Fetcher News in beautiful downtown LJ. And we're going to take another break for the cause, and we'll be back after these messages. Take care of our sponsors, if you will, folks. In the next half hour, we're going to reprise a couple of really, really good interviews with David Ralston and our representative, Doug Collins. So after these messages, take us to break, Amanda, if you will, please.
Family-owned and operated business, and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Circuit World, brand name merchandise at unbelievably low prices. Furniture, appliances, and electronics. Circuit World is locally owned and operated, serving the tri-state area. Circuit World has highly trained professionals to help. Visit your hometown Circuit World today. 3 locations in Georgia: Ellijay, Blue Ridge, and Blairsville, Franklin, and Murphy, North Carolina. No credit checks, so let Circuit World deliver to you today.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Medium Pizza Hut pizzas just $5.99 each.
Did they say Pizza Hut?
For $5.99?
Yes, and yes.
Yes. Introducing the deal you want on the pizza you crave. 2 medium pizzas just $5.99 each. No one out pizzas the hut.
I've had the time of my life. I never felt like this before. I swear it's the truth, and I owe it all to you. I'll tell you something. This could be love, because I've had the time of my life. Never felt like this before, 'cause I've had the time of my life.
The Tupelo Tea mission is to provide over 80 premium tea blends for tea lovers who are looking for ways to explore new flavors and blends. Come visit Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge at Sycamore Crossing. Be sure to sample our various varieties of honey and tea. Visit us on the web at tupelotea.com or call us at 706-946-TEAS. That's TEAS. Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge.
For your next hunting trip, we have Ohio, and we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge, we have your new house in stock.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart.
Better days ahead. It's just this simple. Nobody beats days on price. If it's a Chevy, you'll pay in Jasper. Now save $4,000 off a new 2018 Chevy Malibu, or save to $10,000 off a new 2018 Silverado Crew Cab. It doesn't matter which Chevy you choose. Nobody beats days on price. $10,000 off Silverados and $4,000 off Malibus at Days Chevy in Jasper.
Better days ahead. Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Hey, folks, we are back. If you just joining us, you probably noticed that BKP is not here, but RFG and BAC, our new names, Rhinestone and Burlap are here.
Burlap.
Hey, we're having some fun this morning, taking over for BKP while he is motoring back up. Speaking of motoring BKP, you know, BKP runs these 10 counties like no man could ever do. And he's got this Honda Accord that he beats up and down the highway. He's got a big old license plate on the front of it that says Larry's Auto Body. And around the facade of the front car on the bumper, he's got paint peeling off. Well, that's because he's, you know, probably eating every bug in North Georgia, run up and down to visit all of his 10 county coverages.
Larry can't help him there?
Well, Larry's been trying to get him to help me. He said, Brian, if you're going to keep that license plate on the front of the car, we're going to get the front end of that car painted so it looks like it came out of Larry's body shop. So what did Brian and Lisa do this weekend? They got themselves a rental car. They dropped the car off at Larry's, and we're going to see a fresh coat of paint on the front end of that car, we hope. And it, and that burgundy little monster is going to be fresh and new and running like a champ. Anyway, safe travels to you guys. Brian will be back 8 o'clock fresh tomorrow morning. He's going to have post 2 commissioners from Gilmer County. All 3 of them will be here live in studio. He'll have them with him. Let's see. I don't know what those folks' names were. We've mentioned them several times before, but
Woody Jensen.
Yeah, there you go.
Jerry Tusso.
Okay.
And Carlene Ferguson.
Have you got times on those people?
Woody's at 8:15.
All right.
Jerry is at 8:40.
There you go.
And 9 a.m. is Carlene Ferguson.
Carlene Ferguson.
Yes, sir.
You also probably recognize Bruce and I if you've watched the show before. We love to join Brian at our friends over at Circuit World. JR and the boys welcome us with open arms every Friday morning at 8 o'clock. Brian's on with Dr. Bill Whaley doing the doc,
whatever it is.
In-house, he's our in-house go-to guy, folks. If you want any questions answered, shoot them into chief@fetchernews.com, and they will they'll get those questions fired over to the doc.
Doc Whaley.
Yeah, Doc Whaley. They'll fire those questions over to him, and he'll answer to them. Then we have the All-Star panel comes on. Jane, Rick, and Bruce. Jane, I think, is going to be on a little bit of a sabbatical. Yeah. Jane does a lot of traveling. We love Jane to death. She's going to be moving and grooving. She's got to get her Sycamore Crossing property ready. You know, we leave JR and the boys at Circuit World, and we go over to Sycamore Crossing when the weather breaks. That's always fun to sit out under the gazebo there.
And God knows when it's going to break this year.
God knows when it's going to break, yeah.
Morning.
But
mid-April.
We'll be looking at Tupelo Tea, and we'll be looking at all of the sponsors over at Sycamore Crossing. That's going to happen. Well, like Bruce said, as soon as the weather breaks. Anyway, Brian does such a great job with when the political season. It's always political season for Brian. Okay. But anyway, he does such a great job, and we wanted to, he's got a lot of clips that we could show, but there was one that was done recently with 7th District Representative Doug Collins that I thought was good. He talked a little bit about Paul Ryan. He talked a little bit about the omnibus, and Brian pressed him a lot as to why he voted for that. So we thought it'd be fun to reprise that for you this morning. So, Amanda, do you have that queued up for us? All righty. We'll go to that here whenever Amanda's ready. And this will be Brian's segment with 7th District Representative Doug Collins.
Folks, we're back, and I'm joined now by 9th Congressional District, Georgia 9th Congressional District Congressman Doug Collins. Congressman Collins, first, thank you for making time in your busy schedule again today after what took place yesterday. How are you today, sir?
Technical difficulties do occur, but now we're back going at it again today.
Okay, your time is very short. You've got 100 things going on. But yesterday I would not have been able to ask you this question right out of the box. Did you expect the announcement by Speaker Paul Ryan yesterday? Did that come as a shock, or did you guys have this, were you in on the plan, may I say? Obviously you didn't just come out there. What is the game plan for Republicans with the speaker leaving? Just update us on that.
Well, I think if you know Paul, and I know Paul very well, Paul, this was always been a concern on his heart, especially with his young kids. And in Paul's history, his dad died when he was the same age as his daughter, his oldest daughter now. So this has been something. And what I talk about a lot of times is people will say things about Paul Ryan or leadership. They may disagree with policies and attribute them to being other things other than just policymakers. But at the end of the day, Paul Ryan is probably one of the more honorable men that I've ever run across. And for him, this was a matter of conscience. He knew that he could run for re-election, win re-election in Wisconsin, and then he knew he wasn't going to stay. And then after the election, say he's resigning. He said he could not look at us or look at the voters in Wisconsin and say that and lie. And so I respect that a lot. Now, does it cause some issues up here for us over the next to come to a head quicker rather than later? I don't think this will hold till November. I think there's going to be some issues up here in the next probably few weeks in D.C. that we're probably going to have. But at the end of the day, the main focus is keeping the majority, doing what we need to do. And if you look back over the last year from tax reform with the president, rolling back regulations, we've had one of the more successful runs under the last year with the speaker and the Better Way agenda, which the president ran on and we ran on. I think we're just going to continue, as he said, to run through the tape with those agendas.
Well, you said, he couldn't look at the voters of Wisconsin knowing he was going to resign and leave, and he couldn't look at you, the House of Representatives that he leads, and just look you guys in the face. But let me say this: what about the Republican majority? I mean, what about that? What about the commitment to trying to retain that majority? What about the commitment to the American people? Because you're Speaker of the House, you are representing a district, but you're still Speaker of the House. So my question is, how much difficulty does this put the Republicans in between now and November with some things unsorted, unsolved, and maybe some confusion for the voters?
Well, again, and not to make light of it, but I think the vast majority of people, and I say this, who are non-related to political analysis or anything else, frankly, are going to care less whether Paul Ryan stays Speaker or not. I mean, there's some that will care, there's some that don't, but most people want to care about who they're electing in their local district. I can't think of anybody else who's done more in the last year to keep a Republican majority this cycle than Paul Ryan. He's raised $40 million in the last year alone. He has broke every record for speakers imaginable. And he's continuing and raises, and as late as last week, raised $5.9 million last week. That money is going to continue to be there. What we're going to have to do, though, is keep our focus up here, and that we don't turn into a match in which we take our eyes off the ball, worried more about who's going to get an elected office within the conference as we are about getting the Pennsylvania seats reelected, the Wisconsin seats reelected, the California, Orange County seats reelected, the Missouri seats reelected. We've got to keep our focus there, and I think that's what we're going to be focused on. And if people can come together and do that, then the majority is going to be fine. At the end of the day, though, we're going to have to settle this. Our donors have to understand that the Republican majority matters. We've talked about this about elections. It's a really interesting situation here where you have a choice of saying, do you want Maxine Waters as head of financial services, or do you want a Republican, a Patrick McHenry, or somebody else who's going to actually lead and to bring down Dodd-Frank? Or Jerry Nadler is head of the Judiciary Committee, or Doug Collins is head of the Judiciary Committee. These are the kind of things, because if Jerry Nadler's head of the Judiciary Committee, all they're going to be focused on is impeaching the president. Well, these are the kind of things that we're going to have to focus on.
All right, but let me ask you this: you brought up retaining House seats in Pennsylvania, and you went on to Wisconsin, you went on to Missouri. Obviously, we know, I think it's 24 seats the Democrats need to take control of the House of Representatives. Are those the areas that you're seeing? Is there a concerted effort to go and try to protect the most seats, the seats that are really up for grabs at Democrats? Is there that? How big is the concern that there's a blue wave.
Very much so. There's a huge concern that it's building. It's not there yet. We still feel that we can keep the majority, but we're going to have to work, and Republicans are going to have to show up at the polls. And what we just saw, and I just talked to Scott Walker, governor of Wisconsin. They just had another election. They've had a couple of little smaller elections that went Democrat to Republican, from Republican to Democrat, but they just had a statewide Supreme Court race in which a liberal Supreme Court person now basically beat very handily a conservative jurist up there in a statewide race. What he saw was, and what he and I talked about, was the fact that the Democrat turnout and fervor is extremely high. And they're turning out probably, if you want to compare it to 2010 and the Republican wave that came in 2010. That fervor that Republicans will go and vote, and Democrats who had just had elected President Obama, had gotten several things they wanted, were staying at home. This is something that we see typically in midterm elections, but it's not just the seats. I was in a seat recently, and I've looked at some polling data in which we've got suburban seats in which Republicans hold right now and won by 3 or 4 points, 4 or 5 points, in which the president is 25 points upside down, in which our incumbents are right now even in these races. These are races that if we don't keep, we lose the majority. And it's not just in Pennsylvania, where, by the way, redistricting killed us up there. We're going to probably lose 3 to 4 seats in Pennsylvania, not because of anything else, except they've just redistricted out of the competitive nature of these seats.
What would you say to somebody that said, and Congressman, I try to frame the questions in the discussion. What would you say to somebody that just said, well, that you laid the groundwork to say that these districts were the president's 25 points upside down for the reason why the Republicans would lose those districts? I mean, how many districts in that frame are we looking at that is a concern for the Republicans this November?
A bunch. There are a lot of those suburban districts in which the polling is not as good as we wanted. Now, does it mean necessarily, Brian, that number is what causes this? What I'm doing, and what and I'm working with our candidates all across the country, is to make these races local. All I'm saying is that shows the fervor right now of Democrats who want to come out, who are furious with what I believe has been a great administration. President Trump working to roll back regulations, strengthen our military, doing tax cuts, doing all those things. They don't like. They've been from minute one, since November of 16, they have been only focused on November of 18. That's all they're focused on. Right. What it shows is an intensity factor, and that's something we can't ignore. And I think what's going to happen, though, is in some of these seats in which the numbers are not as good for us. What is good is the individual representative is in that race is competitive or winning. We just got to keep that focus, because we've got to have our people turn out and make sure that they're voting. If they're not voting, we can lose some of these seats. And I think that's going to be an interesting, topic as we look across the country, and even starting in Georgia. Maybe not this election, but it could be this election, where you're going to see turnouts in districts like Rob Woodall's district. We saw it in Karen Handel's district, in which, have been traditionally solid Republican seats, in which those numbers are much tighter than they have been.
Well, I will say this, not to just get into the weeds, but not just congressional. Here in Georgia, there's a record number of Democrats on the ballots for either further down ballot elections than have been in the past. Okay, here's my one question.
And there's a reason for that, Brian. And there's a reason for that. That is because they're concerned. They want a Democrat on the ballot every place in November, and also in the primary, because of the governor's race.
Right, exactly. They want people to come out to vote for to vote for their local candidates and vote for governor. I'm with you.
There you go.
Okay, why? This is the question, and let me just say this, and I'm going to just say it like this: in the voter's mind, okay, Republicans, Planned Parenthood is still funded. For the general voter's mind, still funded. Obamacare is still there. Omnibus spending bills that did not cut deficit. The list goes on for conservatives and even moderate Republicans that promises were made. So let me ask you, in general, for maybe speaking for all Republicans, I know you can't in the House, but why should the people come out and vote for Republicans? What is in the Republican platform for them to come out and vote for?
Okay, well, number one, let's go back down to this. Planned Parenthood, even if it's a perception, the perception is not true. There's no money in the budget, especially that we voted for in the omnibus, that goes toward anything that Planned Parenthood gets. And in Planned Parenthood money that they do get is Medicaid money, in which they do actual medical divide. Now, we can debate that all day long, and I don't want them to have that, but it's the same money that hospitals and everything else get. That's a different issue. The other issue, let's just put it pointedly. If you had the Democrat control, you wouldn't have had tax cuts. If you had Democrat control, you would not have the regulations rolled back. If you didn't have if you had Democrat control, you would not have now had a military that the president promised was fully funded. If you had Democrat control, you would not have over 100 miles of actual concrete brick and mortar fence being built with $1.6 billion that is in the omnibus on the border. You would not have the regulatory rollback at EPA. You would not have Dodd-Frank being...
Don't let a day like today scare you away from the stories that are actually working. We are undergoing an apparel renaissance here.
I get really passionate about this. I do not. I get really upset about Obamacare because we in the House have done it. I am tired of being blamed for the Obamacare issue in the House because the Senate is where the problem is. They killed Rand Paul, a lot of those guys over there killed John McCain, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski. They killed Obamacare last year. They kept Obamacare. And they kept it without, we had $800 billion in mandatory spending cuts last year that they just thumbed their nose out. So I think when you look at this, we can go to political issues. If you want more gun control, elect a Democrat. If you want a Supreme Court or justice that Trump can't get elected, then elect a Democrat. The issue is there is differences between the parties. There's things that people have promised, to say that you can do away with stuff without taking into account the 60-vote rule in the Senate. That's just not true. You have to deal with the realities until the Senate does what they're going to do. But all those things that I listed, if you don't like tax cuts, if you don't like regulatory rollback, if you like Dodd-Frank, if you like having our military spending cut, if you like having all these things, then vote for a Democrat.
Okay. I know you got to go, so I'll ask you this one. I always ask you this, but every day there's an attack by the media, some on the other side of the media on our president of the United States. We are now into a situation that out here, I call it out here, and you know where we are at here in LJ, Georgia. Out here, the information says, hey, there's no Russian collusion. There's no, really the Russians did not affect this last election, and we don't want to go down that road. But we're now up to a special counsel that the American people are paying the bill for that is looking for information on a porn star. And I hate to bring it up like that, a Playboy bunny and an Access Hollywood tape. I know it's not that simple, but for us out here, is there an end in sight for this special counsel? Is there any end in sight for this, or is this just something that's going to continue day after day? And can Republicans stop to this?
Well, I think the issue at this point, I think there should be an end to it. I'm hoping it's coming to an end fairly soon. The Inspector General report from the DOJ is coming out very soon. Again, that shows some of the issues that many of us have been talking about, the different standards that have been used over the past couple of years to investigate. And at the end of the day, the president, has been rightfully said that they found nothing. Mueller has said they found, at this point in time, nothing has come out on collusion. So I think at the end of the day, as I've said before, it's either time to come to that something happened or land the plane. It's one or the other. And so I think that's what our push is to get this done. But also I think at the same point in time is that of investigations take us away from what we're positively doing. And I think that's the better message that we've got to carry out. That's the message that Americans need to carry out. Job creation, regulatory rollback, having our military as strong as, and also looking at the fact that we're now actually negotiating with North Korea. Who would have thought that a year and a half ago? In Syria, when ISIS is gone, when we're actually showing Putin for what Putin is, and that is a Cold War thug who is supporting a rogue regime. These are the kind of things, Brian, it's easy to concentrate on the negatives, but what we as Republicans, and we've always been this party since Ronald Reagan, we are the happy warriors. We have got to be out there selling the message that these things are happening. These things are moving forward. We may not get 100 yards at a time, but we got 90 yards at a time. We got to celebrate. We got to take actually a playbook from that regard. We've got to be willing to accept 80%, just like Ronald Reagan was, and say, we'll come back and get to 20% later. But if we keep focusing on the negatives, then the voter turnout will be suppressed. People won't come to vote, and we will lose seats, and they will be seeing a picture that nobody wants to see, and that's a gavel in the hand of Nancy Pelosi. And if we keep it up, that's what's going to happen.
Next speaker, Scalise or McCarthy, is that the two choices? And have you made a decision on who you would support for the next speaker? What's going on there?
Well, yeah, we'll see what happens the next little bit. I think it's going to probably happen sooner than later, and we'll see. But I think you got McCarthy, Scalise. I mean, they're in line right now, and to move, if they move up, I think that'll be the choices. We'll see what happens. I mean, I've learned up here, especially in these regards, this is the worst kind of discussion, because everybody, sort of wants to be nice to everybody. It's just going to be a discussion. But I think McCarthy and Scalise, probably in that order, is probably, is the votes that are out there. So we'll just see how it happens.
You still support the President of the United States?
I have every time I'm on the TV and everywhere else. In fact, we're working together to actually, here's the deal. I'm supporting him to actually move his agenda, actually to move his prison reform agenda, and to move his, tax reform agenda, to move these agendas. That's what we've been working on. I talk with the White House our office talks with him most every day.
Okay, well, if you talk to him every day, could you tell him to retweet something from me? I'm sorry. Just say there's a guy. Just say I know a guy. Could you just hit retweet or something? All right, Congressman, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on today. And and that's the question we're asking: is why? What is the platform? What to bring Republicans out? And I do think there's a lot. I kind of leave. You know me well enough. I leave it open for you to say what you need to say. But I want to say to our audience, I agree with you. I've been told we got to go. I agree with you when you start looking at the EPA cuts, Dodd-Frank, and what's going on with the engine of this economy. Have a great day. I'm getting the hook, and I know you are too. I know you're busy. Thank you. I know you're busy. Hey, gang, we are back. We are live at the office. That was BKP with 7th District Representative Doug Collins, reprising a really good interview he did last week. He touched on a few things, a couple of takeaways for me. There's a couple of things I disagree with, and that's the congressman saying that people don't care who the speaker is. My opinion, I think the speaker needs to go right now, get a new speaker elect, one that represents the interest of our president, Donald J. Trump. Get out there, sing from the same hymnal, and let's make sure that we don't lose the House. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you want to see the Financial Committee head by Maxine Waters, then don't show up at the polls. But one of the things that they talked about was Ryan raised more money than any other speaker in history. $40 million here, $5.9 million there. Are they only worried about the money? No. We need to get a speaker out there that tells it like the president wants to tell it. Okay, so thank you for putting that back up there, Amanda. That was great. So what do you want to do? Where do you want to go?
Syria.
You want to talk about Syria?
Yeah, let's set the stage.
Syria last week. Our president, President Trump, said that he was not going to take it like Obama did. No red lines in the sand. We've had worldwide rules against gassing, using chemical weapons.
Chemical and biological.
Since when? 1920 something? 1927?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Back, I think after the First World War. There was so much that was done then.
Right.
Mustard gas.
This guy has done it so many times. Obama didn't do anything about it. Russia came out and said that they would be responsible for making sure Syria, their love child, along with Iran, would not do that.
They would be responsible for getting rid of all the chemical weapons.
Yeah. So what happens? We get a chemical weapon strike. Where did it come from? That's what they tried to make sure that they knew exactly who the culprits were, and it kept coming back to the same
Syria
band of pirates, right?
Yeah, or their friends.
Yeah.
So did Trump just go rogue? No. He made a very concerted effort to reach out to our allies, to Macron, to
Merkel,
Angela Merkel, and
Germany.
to the British.
Yeah, Theresa May.
Theresa May got support from France and Britain, and did a strike last Friday. He ordered a strike, came to the American people, told them why, and your thoughts.
Well, you know, it was something that everyone sort of shakes their heads and go, yes, this needed to be done. But now there's all sorts of second guessing in hindsight. I mean, should have been a UN declaration, UN. Should have gone to the Congress and got, you know, their buy-in or their vote on it. You know, that would take a year. So there's a lot of issues about, you know, should we do this? Are we... After he announced that he would really like to pull the troops out of Syria after the seeming decimation of ISIS, so he said that, President Trump has said that, but then, you know, the naysayers are going, well, why would you go turn right around and, you know, send 105 missiles in there? So there's a lot of fluff going on back and forth here about the wisdom of this. Are we really staying engaged in Syria? And is it something we want to do? And this was a reaction to chemical and biological weapons, you know, babies being killed and you know, gassed and damaged and injured. And some people are saying, well, what's the difference? I mean, if they get a bomb dropped on them, I mean, they're dead or injured nonetheless. So, you know, why just chemical weapons? And again, I think this goes back probably to the lessons of the past. I mean, this happened in Serbia, Bosnia-Herzegovina in that war, that civil war, and it happened before in Iraq. You know, Saddam Hussein used gas,
weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah, against his own people, the Kurds. So it's a very emotional thing, and I think that's one of the reasons why Trump just said, you know, basta is basta, enough is enough. We're gonna not talk about red lines. We're just going to go do this. And so it's raised this great debate about, you know, how much should we do? How much buy-in and approval do you have to get from like groups like the UN or the Congress? You know, does the president really have unilateral authority to go and do this on his own? So I think it raises an interesting question. But, you know, from a humanitarian point of view, if you look back over some of the things that have happened in civil wars or other conflicts, I mean, really, this is doing the right thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, in my opinion as well. Not in Hillary's opinion. She came out talking about the refugees and, you know, the juxtaposition. Of course, she's irrelevant anymore. I don't even know why I brought her up.
But that is something other people talk about. I mean, saying, you know, you're doing all this stuff to save people over there, yeah, but then you won't let people come to the country.
Yeah.
Well,
totally different issue, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. The point is, if you get their situation resolved over there, they won't be.
They don't need to. They don't need to.
They'll
be a
stay
refugee.
in their own country. They don't necessarily want to come to the U.S. anymore, and they want to leave Syria.
Yeah. It seems amazing that they can't connect the dots on that simple, you know, simple focus.
But do you think it's a political statement?
Yeah. Do you think?
Yeah.
Anyway, you know, Amanda came up with a CNN clip that was done. And Amanda, do you have that queued up to kind of follow up? Let's watch that.
For some reason, I couldn't sleep. I woke up. I saw a lot of texts on my phone. I saw the news. I cried out of joy. I jumped. I thanked God. I don't know. I was overwhelmed. We've been asking for protection. We've been asking for consequences for more than 6 years. And today, for the first time, it happened. For the very first time, we see Assad held accountable just for once. Held accountable for his crimes against humanity. I was overwhelmed. I felt grateful for President Trump. I felt grateful for the United States. I felt grateful for each and every person who lobbied and called and kept on talking until someone actually listened.
there are people in America, and I hear you supportive of President Trump, and so many people are, Democrats and Republicans, but there are also people over here in America who are saying, all right, so clearly President Trump is motivated by just, as we all have compassion for these just horrible images of these babies who were killed. But at the same time, this is a man who, doesn't want Syrians to come into this country with this refugee ban. I want to just play some sound. Hillary Clinton weighed in.
We cannot in one breath speak of protecting Syrian babies and in the next close America's doors to them.
Quickly, Qasim, how do you see that?
With all due respect, I didn't see each and every person who was demonstrating after the travel ban. I didn't see you 3 days ago when people were gassed to death, when civilians were gassed to death. I didn't see you in 2013 when 1,400 people were gassed to death. I didn't see you raising your voice against President Obama's inaction in Syria that let us refugees, that made us refugees get kicked out of Syria. If you really care about refugees, if you really care about helping us, please help us stay in our country. We don't want to come to the United States. We want to stay in our country. We want to stay in our country. With all due respect, this is hypocrisy. If you really care, help stay in our country. We don't want to become refugees. We want to stay in our country. Help us establish safe zones. Help us stay safe in our country. And if you just give me a few seconds just to tell President Trump once again, please, sir, what you did was amazing. What you did was a powerful message of hope for a lot of people inside and outside of Syria. Please don't stop on this. Please help Syrians stay in their country. Please establish safe zones. Please take out Assad air forces so they won't be able to commit more atrocities using traditional weapons. 500,000 people were killed with traditional weapons, just so people can know what we have suffered in the past 6 years. 6 years.
Folks, that was probably something that CNN won't live down for a while. They're probably regretting the fact that they Skyped Mr. Qasim Eid. He's a Trump supporter, obviously. He's also a 2013 chemical weapons survivor. And to Bruce's point, and to Qasim's point, he doesn't want to be a refugee. He wants to stay in his homeland. And he is supporting President Trump in his effort to hit Assad harder and harder and harder. Make him irrelevant, if you will. I mean, it was refreshing to see that approach. No, he doesn't want to. He'd love to probably live here, but he's more focused on living in his own land. And please, President Trump, keep up the pressure, do what you're doing, and he's supportive of it.
Again, I didn't hear everything Mr. Eid said, but it certainly mirrors my views on this. That you have to like do things. You have to act at a certain point. You just can't be talking all the time and drawing lines and this and that. You have to act to stand up for humanitarian principles. And I don't think President Trump has any desire to get us deeper into the Syrian conflict. But at certain points, you have to step up and do these things. If we don't do it, you're going to have Russia continuing to throw their weight around in the Mideast. And it's a fragile area. I mean, things from Syria can certainly get into Lebanon, can get into Israel. I mean, there's a lot that can happen there. And I think by these actions, President Trump has sent a very clear message to the people that would work against us or would kill their own people. You're not going to get away with this. It's just not going to happen. So, yeah. I think it was the right move, and he definitely should be very precise in any future moves, but I think it was the right thing to do now.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm going to thank CNN for bringing that forward. I think they did a good job on really stating what a lot of the folks are saying out there. Anyway, we are live here at the world headquarters of Fetcher News, where, again, once we'd like to thank Brian for letting us stand in while he takes a one-day sabbatical. He'll be back tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, as he is every morning here at the office. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one quick short break, and then we're going to come back and do a close. We're going to get Amanda in here. Amanda's our TMZ girl. We're going to call the AMZ, right? Bruce tells me that the TMZ stands for, 30-mile zone, little area in LA that I just came back from. Beverly Wilshire, La Cienega, where all the studios are. Now, we've got our own studios here in North Georgia, and we hope that Rhinestone and Burlap are representing him well while he's gone. So let's take a break, Amanda. We'll come back and we'll talk about a few things before we close.
I never felt like this before. I swear it's the truth, and I owe it all to you. I'll tell you something. This could be love because I've had the time of my life. I've never felt like this before, 'cause I've had the time of my life.
The Tupelo Tea mission is to provide over 80 premium tea blends for tea lovers who are looking for ways to explore new flavors and blends. Come visit Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge at Sycamore Crossing. Be sure to sample our various varieties of honey and tea. Visit us on the web at tupelotea.com or call us at 706-946-TEAS. That's TEAS. Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge.
Ace is your helpful place for paying furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstock in LJ next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstock in LJ next to Walmart.
It's just this simple. Nobody beats Days on price. If it's a Chevy, you'll pay less at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. Now save $4,000 off a new 2018 Chevy Malibu, or save up to $10,000 off a new 2018 Silverado Cruze. Doesn't matter which Chevy you choose. Nobody beats Days on price. $10,000 off Silverados and $4,000 off Malibus at Days Chevy in Jasper.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Hey, we are back. Final break. We're having some fun this morning. We're in for BKP, RFG, BAC, Rhinestone, and Burlap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're gonna try to get a cover gig with Diamond and Silk. We want a piece of that action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Once again, we are North Georgia's only live online morning show, and we're gonna close today with some thoughts about the royal family and the upcoming nuptials that we've got. I know Amanda's got a piece that she wants to talk about. Ms. Markle might have some tax issues. Is that right, Amanda?
Yeah. Well, as you guys know, tomorrow is the final day for our taxes. So I actually saw this interesting article that Diane Mahoney, and she is a tax lawyer with Kaplan and Drysdale, and she advertises for international and private clients, had actually reached out to Meghan Markle about her royal assets.
Her royal what?
Assets.
Her royal assets?
Assets,
okay,
yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if that was a 2-syllable word or what. Okay.
But I found that really interesting because, you know, they're not even married yet, and they're already hounding her about what she has with the royal family. And I actually wasn't aware that if you were loaned things like a tiara or bracelets or whatever have you from the Queen, that you had to report that to the IRS. What do you guys think about that?
Well, you know, Bruce has lived overseas, and I think he's probably had to fight those battles. Thank the Lord I haven't. And once again, like Amanda said, tax day, folks, if you owe Uncle Sam, if you need to file, the 17th is your cutoff day.
That would be tomorrow.
That'll be tomorrow. Yep. The 15th fell on a Sunday, as everybody knows. That was my granddaughter's birthday. That's how I remember. That was yesterday. Anyway, so we've got one day in between. Get it out there. Bruce, weigh in on how that works. I think you are a resident expert.
Well, I used to be a resident expatriate.
There you go.
Anyway, this exposes the pernicious side of the Internal Revenue Service. We are the only country in the world that taxes its citizens on worldwide income. So in the case where an expatriate goes overseas to work, essentially, they go to, let's say, Germany, and the income they get from their job in Germany is taxed. But if they have an IRA, if they have a bank account in the U.S., drawing interest, if they have any kind of dividends, rental property, all that income has to be put together in one big pot, and they tax you accordingly. Now, you do get some relief if you pay a higher tax in a foreign country. You get credit for that against your U.S. taxes. But the interesting thing in Ms. Meghan's case is that whatever asset she's bringing into the marriage, she has to make.
I think they're substantive, right? I mean, I think she's got a pretty decent asset base from her acting career and things like that.
I would think. I mean, whatever the number in the marriage, but when an American marries a foreigner, or a non-citizen, if you will, all the things that they bring into the marriage become taxable. I mean, this is a big surprise for men and women that come to the U.S. and marry an American. Suddenly, everything they have from their previous, their earlier life, their career, is now being taxed by the U.S. And it's a very pervasive, pernicious system. And some people, if they marry a foreigner or a non-citizen, they essentially make a decision if they stay an American citizen or not. They can renounce their citizenship because the tax burden for people can be overwhelming. I mean, it can wipe out a lot of the assets that you've accumulated in your life.
Isn't that some of the scuttlebutt that she's considering?
Yes, I believe. Well, Amanda maybe could answer that she's maybe thinking about that. One of the things, though, they IRS gets you going out the door. If you
don't let the door hit your butt. Hey.
Yeah, but leave your wallet because they say, okay, they will take a snapshot of your assets and holdings and everything that you have here in the U.S. That they know about, and
frozen in time, so to speak.
Yeah, and as you take the plane to go to Great Britain to marry the prince, they will say, okay, you have $4 million in assets, as an example, and they will do a departure tax on your $4 million of assets. So they get you coming or going, and that's one thing. All these politicians, they talk about this and that. You talk about some rules and things like that. They could spend time on making it easier for U.S. citizens and businesses to work internationally. not even going into the royal marriage area. They could spend a lot of time doing that and make it easier for American citizens and companies to keep their hard-earned pay.
Yeah, well, I don't know what she's going to do, but
she's going to get taxed no matter what.
She's getting a lot of scrutiny, and I'm sure she'll weather the storm if she wants to. She wants to make a mark in the royal family, but yeah, we'll see what happens on that. Amanda, thanks for bringing that to us.
You are very welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Well, you know what, folks? In the last 5 minutes, we're going to wrap up this fun morning, I think, for both of us.
Fun morning.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Rhinestone and silk.
It's burlap. Rhinestone and burlap.
I would be truly remiss if I didn't. We make fun. We jump back and forth. The people here at Fetcher News, first and foremost, they're friends of ours. And Brian, Samantha, the general manager, Amanda has jumped in and done a phenomenal job in producing the show for Brian every morning. She's got 3 children. She gets off to school. Her husband, her partner, they work hard in the community. And she comes to work every day with a smile on her face, I think. And every time I've seen her, she does. Sam, the same way. Monday mornings are tough for all of us. But this group of people, Brian notwithstanding.
Let's not forget Lisa.
Yeah, and Lisa. They as a team work very, very hard to bring North Georgia the current news, the current political climate, what's going on at the school boards, what's going on at the city councils, what's going on at the county meetings. Lonnie's out there beating the bushes. I can't remember everybody's name.
Jason.
Yeah, it's Jason Sports. And I'm sorry that I can't, because you two are a really, really big part of what goes on here every day. Bruce and I commented during the break that this would be tough.
Yes, sir.
This would be tough, especially for 2 old white guys, okay, up here in North Georgia. We're going to make our gig with Diamond and Silk. We're going to live off their coattails, all right? But it would be very tough to make it interesting every day. And they truly do, because I watch the show a lot, participate in the show. And like I said, we're friends with these people. We support these people. The merchants that you see when we run those 2 and 3 minute commercial spots, those are folks that we see every day. We support
local businesses.
The local businesses. We try to buy local up here. We support local. We are truly a very giving community.
Yes.
With all of the charitable organizations, Feed Fannin, the Gilmer equivalent. We've got.
I think it's safe to say you could go to a charitable event every week here, every week or every weekend, every week of the year. You could do that.
Right.
There's always something going on that that satisfies a need. Feed Fannin, Humane Society. The hospitals, there's always something going on.
And we've got apple blossom festivals. We've got Taste of Blue Ridge. We've got the Humane Societies in all the different counties. The same merchants get hit on every time.
Fire and Ice, Wine and Jazz Festival.
Yeah, I mean, they get hit on constantly. And you know what? They keep coming back. The folks keep coming up here to North Georgia. So, we're proud of what we've got up here. And Bruce, you've got anything to add to that?
Are we going to do hits and misses, or are we going to
hits and misses? And no, let's save that for Friday.
Okay, we'll save that for Friday.
We don't want to mess up the format. We need to stay in character today.
Okay.
It's kind of the Rhinestone.
I just say it's been fun working with your Rhinestone.
Yeah,
it's always
and
good.
To you, Burlap.
No, this has been great. We hope you enjoyed it and learned a little something, and hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody here. We appreciate the time. Brian is going to be back with you tomorrow morning, and let's see. Don't forget, we've got post 2 commissioners tomorrow morning. at the office here with Brian in studio.
At 8:15, Woody Jensen. At 8:40, Jerry Tuso. And at 9 a.m., Carlene Ferguson, your candidates for post 2.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about the 60s and the current climate, what we got going on right now. I'd love to press Brian and see if he'd give Bruce and I a little bit of time, because we could really have some fun going back and doing a little compare and contrast to the hardcore times we got going on now, to what we had going on in the 60s, everything that came about. There's so many things that happened in the 60s that we could cover. The Kennedy assassination. We had
Martin Luther King.
We had Martin Luther King. We had Robert Kennedy. As the song says, where are they? Where are they now? Well, I won't go into that. We can sing that. Yeah, save that. There were so many things that happened in that decade. The riots at Chicago, the whole world is watching during the Democratic National Convention.
Landing on the moon.
Oh, boy. Yeah, the landing on the moon. That could be a whole other segment for me, let me tell you. But if Brian would let us, we'd love to come back sometime other than just the All-Star panel. We've loved it here this morning. I know I'm rambling on. But thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Amanda, for guiding the ship and putting up the videos in excellent shape. Thank you, Sam. Brian, be careful on the road, because tomorrow morning I want to sleep, okay? I will get up at 8 o'clock to come watch your show, but right here in the office, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, Brian will be here live in studio. Thanks for your time. Thanks, everybody. And we are out.